Welcome to Operation Clean Air. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to uncover the secrets of the air we breathe. It's up to us to identify the culprits and take action. So grab your spy gear and prepare for a briefing. You may be wondering who I am on the other side of this transmission. The name's Danielle, Agent Danielle. I'm reporting to you from headquarters, which is the Broward County Natural Resources Division's AIR program. There are a few other agents you should know. Yaralise, who handles graphics and design, Sam, who handles our data, and Ashley, who's the program coordinator. She's our lead agent. The AIR program is partially funded by the Environmental Protection Agency, or the EPA, and we operate under the Clean Air Act, which is a federal law designated to reduce air pollution across the country. Our mission? To safeguard human health and the environment by monitoring, protecting, and improving air quality. But what is air? Air may be invisible, but it's all around us. It's a mixture of gases that keep us alive. Mostly nitrogen and oxygen, plus smaller amounts of argon, carbon dioxide, and other particles. Without air, we wouldn't survive. But beware, agents, our air isn't always clean. Meet the Sinister Six, or the criteria pollutants. These are some of the villains that the EPA has identified as threats to our health and to the environment. Let's expose their tricks. First, there's particulate matter, or PM. We call it the micro menace. Tiny particles from smoke, dust, exhaust, and other sources. These come in all different sizes, but we're especially concerned with PM 2.5 because it's so small that it can get stuck deep in our lungs. How small, you ask? Imagine this. A single strand of your hair is about 30 times thicker than a single particle of PM 2.5. They're mighty small, but mighty harmful. Now, ground level ozone, or Dr. Smog. You may have heard of ozone high up in the stratosphere. It protects us from sunlight. But ground level ozone is formed when pollutants emitted by cars, power plants, and other sources react with sunlight. It can cause negative health effects, and it's the main component of smog, which is a hazy mixture of smoke and fog. These two pollutants, particulate matter and ozone, are the most common offenders in Broward County, so these are extra important to look out for. Sulfur dioxide, or the yoker, it's produced from the burning of fossil fuels, mainly from power plants and factories. It can irritate our lungs and helps form acid rain. Nitrogen dioxide, or the haze master. This gas gets in the air through emissions from cars, trucks, buses, power plants, and more. It can irritate our airways, and it reacts to form ground-level ozone, another one of the Sinister Six. Carbon monoxide, or the invisible infiltrator. It's odorless, colorless, and dangerous. The greatest sources are cars, trucks, and other machinery that burn fossil fuels. At high levels, this gas can make people dizzy and sick. Lead, or metal mind. A toxic metal released from industrial processes. It can have harmful effects across several different body systems. Thanks to the rules from the EPA, like removing lead from car gas, lead levels in the air have dropped significantly. Even so, we must remain vigilant. But wait, another group is working in the shadows, the greenhouse gang. These gases trap heat, causing our planet to warm up unnaturally. There's carbon dioxide, or Mr. Inferno. You may have heard of this one. It comes from burning fossil fuels, burning waste, trees, and more. Methane, or the stinker. We call it that because it can be smelly. Released from landfills and livestock, and even some natural sources like wetlands. Nitrous oxide, or Ultra V, escapes through things like agriculture, fuel burning, and wastewater treatment. Fluorinated gases, we call that one man-made mayhem, because they have no significant natural source. They're emitted when they're used as refrigerants and in other industrial processes. They're usually released in smaller quantities, but they cause big damage because they are so powerful and can stay in our atmosphere for a long time. While some of these greenhouse gases are natural and even necessary to keep our planet comfortable, too much of them can throw off Earth's natural balance, leading to stronger storms, heat waves, and rising sea levels. We must keep them in check. Agents, it's time for a field test. In this experiment, we'll see how greenhouse gases trap heat.
Let's start our experiment. Here we've got 4 jars. 1 full of vinegar, 1 full of sodium bicarbonate, which is a fancy word for baking soda. We have a jar labeled air, and 1 labeled control. Control is one that will stay completely the same throughout the experiment. We're not going to change anything in here, so it's easier to compare what happens in the air jar. Both of these jars have plastic wrap on top. This represents the atmosphere. Anything that happens inside of these jars will be trapped inside by the atmosphere. We'll also need a tablespoon, a surface thermometer, and a light. This light represents the sun shining on our air samples. First step of this experiment is to take a temperature reading. We want to know where these are starting so that we can compare it later on. The control is measuring at 69.2 degrees Fahrenheit, and the air jar is at 72.1 degrees Fahrenheit. They're pretty close. Let's get mixing. So I will peel back the atmosphere on the air jar and pour in 1/4 cup of vinegar. Next, I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of baking soda. You want to be sure this is level, because if you add too much baking soda, this could spill. I gotta work really quick and be ready to put that atmosphere back on right away so that it traps the experiment inside. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Oh. You see that reaction happening inside? When vinegar and baking soda mix together, it produces a gas. And that gas is carbon dioxide, which, do you remember when we talked about carbon dioxide before? That is a greenhouse gas. You can even see a little bit of air getting trapped inside. Let's see if anything changed. The control is measuring at 66.8 degrees Fahrenheit, and the air 76.3 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's much hotter than the jar where we did not do the experiment. So remember, the carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas, which means it traps heat. So all of the air inside of here is full of those carbon dioxide molecules, which is holding on to the heat that's coming from this light, or our sun, and it's trapping it, being trapped by the atmosphere. So the air inside of this jar, the temperatures keep rising. So now that you understand a little bit about what greenhouse gases can do, let's go back and learn the effects of greenhouse gases in air pollution.
Air pollution comes from a bunch of different sources, some of them natural, some of them human-caused. Natural sources include things like volcanic eruptions, wildfires, and dust storms. Mother Nature's own pollution. Now, human-caused sources include factories, power plants, and vehicles burning fossil fuels. Vehicles are the biggest one in Broward County. Human-caused sources are the biggest contributors to polluted air. Your mission is to find ways to cut down human-caused pollution. Polluted air has quite a few health effects. It can trigger coughing, asthma, lung disease, heart problems, eye irritation, and more. Certain groups can be particularly sensitive to these effects, including children who are still growing, older adults, and people who already have asthma or other health conditions. It also has a big impact on the environment. Acid rain, damaged crops, rising temperatures, more extreme weather. Now, all of this functions as one big vicious cycle, or a feedback loop. Air pollution contributes to climate change by trapping heat in the atmosphere. Then, climate change worsens air pollution by increasing wildfires, heat waves, and other weather patterns that spread pollutants. This creates a dangerous cycle that continues to harm both people and the planet. So how do we break the cycle? This is your mission. Become an agent of change and help us break the cycle. But how? Here's how Broward County's air program fights back against air pollution. The air monitoring section handles surveillance. We have 6 air monitoring stations across Broward County where, ideally, data is collected 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, so we can understand the makeup of our air at all times and report that data back to the EPA. Let's take a closer look at one of our monitoring sites.
Hey everybody, this is the Angkor Banu site that we have for Broward County, named after Daniela Banu, who was one of our outstanding air quality program enthusiasts here. What we're monitoring is our criteria pollutants that are identified in the Clean Air Act. So that's carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, your reactive species of nitrogen, so your nitrogen oxides, ozone, particulate matter. So if you step inside here, first thing you'll notice is our analyzers, and this is our ozone analyzer, this is our carbon monoxide analyzer, and this is our sulfur dioxide analyzer, monitoring our criteria air pollutants that we're required to keep track of. This is the computer that we use to pretty much look at all of our data. This is actually the live ozone concentration right now at the Angkor monitoring site. And this is our nitrogen oxide analyzer, NOI specifically. It monitors reactive species of nitrogen. I'll probably take you guys outside and have a look at it. That tower right there, that tall tower, was the NOI analyzer, the part of it that you don't see in the building, and the inlet's all the way up top there. It's that little tube that's hanging down. This is our manual particulate monitor. Basically, come take a look inside here. There's filters in here that we install on pretty much like a weekly basis. And once it's running, it pulls air through these filters, and then they get sent off through to our lab in Tallahassee. And they pretty much give us an assessment of how good or bad our particulate matter is for that running period. This is our particulate matter, that particulate monitor that runs continuously. As you hear, that guy is running right now and giving us live data. So the monitor that I just showed off runs once every 3 days. This one is running 24/7, giving us particulate matter data. And the stuff that you see right there, that's a temperature probe. It's important to keep track of the temperature when you're doing this type of analysis. And that guy up top there is our inlet monitor, because we're only looking for particulate matter that's between 10 microns and 2.5 microns. So that outlet filters out the stuff that we're not really concerned with.
If the monitors go offline, like, why is that a bad thing?
We are tasked with keeping these monitors online 24/7, 365 to the best of our ability. And anytime an instrument is broken, that results in downtime and data that's not being captured. So our job is specifically to get as much data as possible.
Well, Dr. Sybil, thank you so much for giving us some of your time today. We appreciate you, and we hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
You guys take care. Be safe.
The Licensing and Compliance section issues licenses to stationary sources of air pollution. Those are pollution sources that don't move, which are often businesses like fuel storage facilities, factories, and even dry cleaners. The Licensing and Compliance team ensures these businesses are following protocol to keep air pollution at a minimum. The outreach section, well, that's us. We train new recruits like you through educational programs to spread awareness and fight pollution. One specific thing we do in the outreach section is offer free air sensors to classrooms around the county. These sensors use laser particle counters to detect pollutants in the air and give students the opportunity to track real-time air quality on location. Want to try one? Email us at the address below for more information. So how can you break the cycle? Stay informed. Before heading out on any mission, check the Air Quality Index, or the AQI. That's right, you can check the air quality throughout the day, just like you check the weather. Head to airnow.gov and type in your zip code to see real-time air data reported through the EPA. This color-coded scale helps make the AQI easy to understand. 0 to 50 means we have good air quality. Mission go. The air is safe for everyone. 51 to 100 is moderate, so some agents may feel some minor effects. 101 to 150 is unhealthy for sensitive groups. Those with asthma, older adults, and kids should limit activity outdoors. 151 to 200 is unhealthy. Everybody should limit their time outdoors on these days. Now, 201 to 300 is considered very unhealthy. Stay indoors. The air is too dangerous for everybody. And 301 to 500 or above, this is considered an air emergency. Everybody must stay inside. Thankfully, in Broward County, we don't ever really get above moderate. Most days, you'll see green or yellow flags. We post the local AQI every day on our social media, so follow us to stay informed. All right, recruits, that concludes today's mission briefing. We hope you feel ready to head out there and identify ways that you can help keep the air clean. To complete today's training, find a link to a printable worksheet in the description below. Test your knowledge, take the Air Quality Hero Pledge, and wear your Agent of Change badge with pride. From the entire Broward County Air Program, thanks for tuning in.